What's going on, everyone? The Lakers and the Celtics rivalry is the greatest rivalry in all of sports. I mean, it transcends the game of basketball over all of the decades, all of the years since the inception of the NBA. We have gotten to see the Lakers and the Celtics duke it out. Both organizations having 17 NBA championships. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson literally saved the NBA. We would not have a league, at least to the way that we know of it, if it wasn't for those two, if it wasn't for that Lakers-Celtics rivalry, the East Coast and the West Coast battling it out, just timeless, right? And you had two of these juggernauts heading for a crash course for another face-off, winner getting number 18. That was the big blockbuster matchup. That was the one that fans and basketball connoisseurs and media and the NBA themselves, I'm sure, are really looking forward to that. And it ended up falling short. And this is a huge break for the Lakers, right? Because, again, the Lakers weren't supposed to be there. The Lakers weren't supposed to be in that position where the Boston Celtics were a team that were one of the favorites to win the NBA championship this year. Were just in the NBA Finals, had a real opportunity to bounce back, get there again, forced a Game 7, and then just fell apart and got ran out the gym thanks to the Miami Heat. And again, this is a huge savior for the Lakers. Jimmy Buckets, I really want to see him win an NBA championship. It's crazy to think either Jimmy Butler or Nikola Jokic are going to win an NBA championship. I think Denver is just going to run through Miami personally, but we'll see. I mean, you never know. Jimmy Butler and this Miami Heat team has been very resilient, and they've been able to overcome impossible odds at times. It's just Denver's offensive firepower just seems like it's too much. I just think it's going to be too much to deal with, too much of a handful for this Miami Heat team. Luckily for the Heat, Boston was just super predictable. Right? Like, you just basically got to play zone, and Boston didn't know what to do in the zone when there's a reason NBA teams don't play zone, because it's so easy to just dismantle. And yet it was like the dagger in the Celtics, and the Celtics just played to their game because Miami knew Boston loves to just jack up threes, right? So if we just let them do that, we're going to win this game because they're not going to outshoot us. And that's essentially what happened. And you had the bubble reunion, right? You had the Heat and the Celtics. You had Denver and the Lakers. And this time, the Lakers were the losers in the Denver series. It was unfortunate, especially the way the Lakers went out in a sweep. But again, it wasn't like the Lakers were the favorites. The Lakers were the team that many thought were going to win the NBA championship. The Lakers were this juggernaut of a team. They're not the Boston Celtics, right? And I've seen so many people compare and go, oh, well, the Lakers don't have the heart that the Celtics have and this, that, and the other. And to me, it's just so silly. It really is. It's so silly because, again, you're comparing apples to cars, right? Like, the Celtics were a Ferrari that was supposed to, or a Lamborghini or whatever, that was supposed to just blow all the other cars out of the water this year, and they just fell apart and it didn't happen. Where the Lakers were that, like, lemon that you just put a new coat of paint on and you were hoping that they could win an NBA championship. And it just unfortunately didn't happen. I mean, at times it felt like, oh, there was a real opportunity. And I don't think Denver was just that much better than the Lakers. They were clearly the better team. You don't get swept. But all those games were extremely close. And the Lakers easily could have won all four of those games. So the promise and the hope and the excitement for next year definitely is there. But both of these teams, especially the Celtics, they have a lot that they need to figure out. Right? They have the depth, they have the talent, they have the stars, and for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get over the hump. And we have seen a lot of really talented teams over the years fall into the same category. Even teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, made it to an NBA Finals, and just every year seemed to be that perennial Western Conference Finals team, and they just could never seem to get over the hump, and eventually they broke up and fell apart, and they didn't keep James Harden, and then Kevin Durant goes to the Warriors, and that was that. And it kind of feels like the Celtics are becoming that team. The last 6-7 years we have seen the Boston Celtics as a team that is really good, just not good enough. And a lot of it is their two stars aren't reliable enough. right? I mean, Jason Tatum just completely disappears and might as well not even be on the court at times. At least Anthony Davis. I know a lot of people like to talk about Anthony Davis and his, disappearing act on the offensive end. The difference is that, like, Anthony Davis, yes, if he has a bad scoring night, he still impacts the game in so many ways. Where Jason Tatum, like, it's like he gets in his own head and just becomes unplayable out there at times. Jaylen Brown, he has all the tools, and I think he could definitely be a number one option at some point. I just don't think he's there yet. And him having 10 turnovers or whatever it was doesn't help. There were issues last season with him and his ability to dribble and handle the basketball, and you saw that again this year. And it's like, did you even work on that stuff? Like, what's going on, dude? And so Boston, they have the depth and the talent overall. I just don't think that they can win with their two stars. I think at some point they're going to have to break up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I just think it's going to be Jaylen Brown because you're not going to get rid of Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is far too talented, and you hope that he eventually develops into a more consistent player. Because when Jason Tatum's on, there's not very many people, if at all, that are better than him, right? Like, he's that transcending. And the problem is him being on, and he's kind of de-evolved, which is weird, right? Like, he was a legit 3-level scorer, just like matchup nightmare. And he has just kind of fallen into this like typical, I'm just going to jack up and take a step back three, or I'm going to drive it to the hoop. Like, that's kind of all it's become with him. So the Celtics definitely have their work cut out for them, and so do the Lakers. But I feel like the Lakers have a better understanding in the short term, right? Now, the Celtics may end up having a better long-term outlook because their stars are just younger. Right? But the Lakers in the short term right now, you got one like real maybe run with this Lakers squad before things change. So if you're the Lakers, push chips into the table and say, let's go. Let's go for an NBA championship, right? Whether that's going and trading for a Damian Lillard, or maybe you go and get a Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, whatever, right? And you keep Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, and you're good to go, right? Like, the Lakers, I feel, in the short term, or at least the relative foreseeable future, you know what you're going to get. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are the players that they are. You have an idea and understanding of who they are, and you know what you need to do and put around them for there to be success. Problem with Boston is you don't know what that is with them, right? Some moments, Boston looks like they are a team that is unbeatable. And you're like, how do you beat this team in a 7-game series? And then other times you see them and it's like, how did this team even make the playoffs? Right? They lack execution. A lot of that is coaching and stuff too. So they need to figure out their coaching situation. But I just think for now, the Lakers are in a better position. Does that mean that they will do the things necessary in order to capitalize on this position? Maybe not. I mean, you never know, right? But I think everyone kind of knows what the Lakers are, what they need, and how they need to approach it in order to win a championship. And there's still that possibility of them winning a championship. The problem with Boston is, yes, they could go on a run and maybe win an NBA championship. Maybe with the right coach, they kind of right the ship a little bit. But I just feel like you don't know what you are going to get with this Boston team. And that is a real problem, right? And you don't know what you're going to... Like, it seems like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you don't really know who they are yet. Like, you don't... Like, at times you look at them and you're like, man, this might be the best duo in the league. And then other times you look at them and you're like, this duo just doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't seem to work. Too much isolation. They're too similar players. Like, it's just... I don't know. Where LeBron James and Anthony Davis might be the best complementary duo in the league. The problem is that LeBron James only has like a year or two left, and Anthony Davis, there's just a lot of concerns, right? His ability to just kind of disappear at times on the offensive end. His age and his injury history. Like, there's a lot of things that kind of go into LeBron James and Anthony Davis that are concerning for the future. And that's why I think right now, the Lakers, you have a better understanding of who they are, right? Where Boston, they may, in the next 2 years, you might be able to keep this team intact with Boston, and in the next 2 years, they're all of a sudden a dynasty, right? And they figure it out and they win championships. But the problem is you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen with them. And you have these two historic franchises both competing for that tiebreaker. And now, us Laker fans, we get to go and watch the NBA Finals and enjoy it without, having to stress and worry about every game because the Celtics might win number 18 before us. And, we'll see how these two teams approach this offseason. Because I think the Lakers questions are easier to answer. I think they are, right? Like, you just got to get the Lakers a little more, like, blue chip depth, right? Like, they have a couple great guys, but they need a little more blue chip level depth. Like, the Boston Celtics have more blue chip level depth. Their question is their stars. And their question is, what do they do about their stars, specifically Jaylen Brown, which that's never a good thing, right? Like, there's no question of what you're going to do with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You have that locked up. You know what you're going to do with Austin Reeves. You know what you're going to do with Rui Hachimura. Like, you got your basic core intact. You just need to put a couple more guys around that core, and you very likely could win the NBA championship next year if everyone can stay healthy, right? Where Boston, it's like, how much better are you going to make this team? And even if you do, if the stars don't show up, it doesn't matter. So, like, now what, right? So, I don't know. It's interesting. But the Lakers definitely caught a break, which is huge, right? They caught a huge break because Boston, they should have won this series. They should have won this series handily, and they didn't, and the Lakers lucked out. So, anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know.